It was a humid September morning in 1935 when two teenage boys stumbled upon something horrific in Cleveland's Kingsbury Run. They had been chasing rats near the railroad tracks when they discovered what looked like a pair of clothes-wrapped mannequins. It wasn't mannequins. The police confirmed the remains were of two bodies, both headless, mutilated, and dumped with surgical precision. One was a man, the other a woman. Their heads were missing, and they were only the beginning. Over the next 4 years, at least 12 bodies, all dismembered, decapitated, and dumped in the poorest parts of the city, would be found. The victims came from society's margins, vagrants, sex workers, and drifters. Some were never identified. The press soon dubbed the killer the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run. Cleveland in the 1930s was a city on the edge. The Great Depression had battered industry and spirits alike. Entire communities lived in hobo jungles, makeshift shantytowns stretching through ravines like Kingsbury Run. Crime was rising. The police were overwhelmed. Fear gripped the city. To restore order, the mayor appointed Eliot Ness, the famed federal agent who helped bring down Al Capone, as the city's director of public safety. The Butcher case would become Ness's greatest challenge, and perhaps his greatest failure. Between 1935 and 1938, dismembered corpses kept surfacing, always with the same horrifying signature. The bodies were decapitated. Limbs were cleanly severed. In many cases, bodies were drained of blood, suggesting they were killed elsewhere. Chemical burns suggested attempts to erase fingerprints or identity. Autopsies confirmed some victims were alive when decapitated. Others had suffered blunt force trauma before dismemberment. It was the work of someone skilled with a blade, methodical and merciless. A few of the victims were given nicknames. The Tattooed Man, identified only by unique ink on his arms. Victim number 7, a woman, discovered in 2 burlap sacks. The Lady of the Lake, discovered months before the case officially started. Despite wide media coverage, the police struggled. Many victims had no families or records. Leads ran dry. Fear ran deep. Ness threw everything he had at the case. He increased patrols, scoured hospital records, and questioned anyone with surgical knowledge. The killings continued. In July 1936, 3 more victims were found within weeks. Some body parts left in plain sight. One torso was discovered wrapped in butcher paper and dumped in the middle of downtown. It was as if the killer was taunting the police. Out of options and desperate to show progress, Ness made a controversial move. In 1938, he ordered the burning of Kingsbury Run, destroying the hobo camps. Hundreds were displaced. It was a public relations nightmare. Strangely, the murders stopped. But Cleveland had no answers and no killer behind bars. Behind closed doors, Ness and his team had their eye on one man, Dr. Francis E. Sweeney, a former Army medic during World War I. Sweeney had been trained in combat surgery. He was also known for his drinking, erratic behavior, and a nervous breakdown that led to multiple hospitalizations. Sweeney had connections to Cleveland's political elite, making prosecution even more complicated. Ness quietly detained Sweeney and subjected him to 2 polygraph tests. He failed both badly, but they had no physical evidence, no witnesses, no confessions. Under political pressure and lacking probable cause, Ness was forced to release him. Shortly after, Sweeney voluntarily checked himself into a mental institution. He would spend the rest of his life in and out of psychiatric care. He was never charged. Officially, the case remained unsolved. Years later, in the early 1950s, Eliot Ness, long retired from public service, received an anonymous letter postmarked from Los Angeles. Dear Eliot, I told you once, I moved out west. You're safe now. Rest easy. A friend from Iran. The envelope had no return address. Ness was convinced it was from Sweeney, but it meant nothing in court. The letter only reinforced what he had long believed. They knew who the killer was, but couldn't touch him. The emotional weight of the case never left Ness. He died in 1957, bitter and unfulfilled. In the 1970s, retired detectives reopened old case files. A researcher noticed something troubling. 2 torso-style murders occurred before 1935, but were excluded from the official list. Then came a journal from a deceased rail worker's belongings. It detailed a man named Charlie, a drifter who worked on rail lines and always carried scalpels. Charlie, it said, had once been a medical orderly, discharged for conduct issues. He reportedly told co-workers, "Cleveland's got places you can hide anything, even people." Was Charlie the real killer? Had investigators focused too heavily on Sweeney? Could there have been more than one butcher? The Torso murders remain one of the most disturbing unsolved crimes in U.S. history. The victims, many buried under John Doe markers, have never received justice. No one was ever convicted. No confession ever surfaced. The case haunted Cleveland. It haunted Elliot Ness. And it haunts historians and investigators to this day. Was the butcher a mad doctor protected by privilege? A drifter who disappeared before justice caught up? Or someone else entirely? What is certain is this: the mad butcher of Kingsbury Run killed more than people. He killed peace of mind. He exposed how fragile safety truly is, especially for those society forgets. And nearly a century later, Cleveland still wonders if the killer ever truly left. But one thing is clear: this wasn't just a string of murders. It was a message. No one cares about the forgotten, not even when they're murdered. Rest in peace, the victims. If you want more in-depth true crime stories, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Comment below. Do you think Sweeney was a killer? Or was the real butcher someone we never even suspected?